Sense of how tonight's town hall with the former president played with some of New Hampshire's Republican and undeclared voters who were in the audience. Want to go to CNN's Gary Tuckman, who's with a group of them now. Gary?
Anderson, 8 people were with. They were in the audience. What they also have in common is none of them have voted in the past for either Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. 6 of them voted for Donald Trump in the past. 1 didn't vote in the past 2 elections. 1 was too young to vote, but that's what they have in common, that most of them are Trump supporters. What I want to ask you first of all is, do you think, show of hands, anybody think Donald Trump looks better after this town hall? Any of you think he looks worse? Any of you think the same thing about him as you did when you walked in? So all of you feel that way. First thing I want to ask you about, Donald Trump, we have to be blunt about it, is not a truth teller. That's the way he's always been when he was a businessman, when he's been a politician. He has lied about the 2020 election. Stuffed ballot boxes, it's all made up. He's lost dozens of court cases. Does it bother you that he keeps talking about 2020 and not 2024? I'll ask you first. This is Jonathan Leslie. He's 40, Republican, voted for Trump twice. How do you feel about those lies?
So I feel like part of it's also the media narrative, as you guys asked him the first question at the town hall about the 2020 election, rather than current stuff.
So don't you think he could say it's time for me to start talking about 2024 and not lies that aren't true?
Couldn't the media ask him a question about 2024?
Well, there were questions, but you're right. That was the first thing, but that's something that was on our mind. And that's why I was asked first. Mike McLaughlin, he's 21. He is undeclared, which is what you do in New Hampshire if you want to be independent, but he voted for Trump in 2020. Mike, same thing to you. What do you feel about Trump continuing to talk about those mistruths from 2020?
Personally, I'm getting tired of hearing about it. I'm very much more so interested in the problems that we face now, and I would prefer to hear him discuss the present issues more so than going to the past.
65-year-old Stephen Farnsworth, Republican, voted for Trump twice. Your opinion about that?
Well, I think that he's committed to it. That's what he feels. That's what he thinks.
Well, do you think he thinks that, or do you think he just keeps saying it to try to will it for people like you to believe it?
I think he actually thinks it.
You do?
No, he may.
Even though he keeps losing in the courts over and over again.
He does say what's on his mind.
Okay. Do you think so? That it was a rigged election?
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain, okay. All right, the next person on our list, 64-year-old, and you don't mind me saying your age, Cindy Oning, do you?
Not at all.
Okay, we were joking about that
For at least
before.
1 more month.
Yeah, she's a Republican. She didn't vote in the past 2 presidential elections. How come you didn't vote, A, and B, what do you feel about the continuation of these lies about 2020?
You know, I don't know what's a lie anymore, but I think there needs to be a new narrative.
And what's the new narrative?
Current situations that are, involving all of us.
Current situations. But when you say you don't know what's a lie is a lie. I mean, all these courts have said that one of the stuffed ballot things he's talking about was in Fulton County, Georgia. No stuffed ballots. I was there. I was watching with my own eyes. I mean, none of it's true. And I think a lot of people think he tries to will it to be true. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. In that corner right there, that's Noel Licata. He's 18. First election coming up. He's currently undeclared, but leaning Republican. What do you feel about him still talking about 2020 and these things?
I don't think anybody wants to hear about 2020 at this point. Everybody wants to hear about 2024, the future, and what comes after that. And he did not talk enough about that tonight.
Alyssa Malloy. Alyssa's 37. She's a registered Republican, voted for Trump twice. Your feeling about this?
I think it's time to move on from the election, the 2020 election.
Do his fibs offend you?
I think he truly believes it.
You do too?
I think that's what he truly believes. I think a lot of his supporters believe it. Not all of them, but there are a lot of people who do believe it, and he tries to go along with that, and I would agree that he wills it to be true.
Let me ask 22-year-old Cooper Walsh, who is also undeclared but voted for Trump in 2020. Do you think Trump believes that stuff?
I definitely do think he believes it. I think he's very passionate about it, or else he probably wouldn't still be talking about it. But I think that it's time for him to move on. He needs to talk about what he's going to accomplish in 2024. And I also think the media shouldn't have focused on the huge segment on the 2020 issue. We already know what he thinks about it. I think we should be talking about more of the other issues that the questions had in the audience.
But would it be helpful, Karen Olson, who's 56, she's undeclared, not registered Republican or Democrat, but voted for Trump twice. Wouldn't it be good if he would just say, I'm ready to move on. It's 2024. I'm going to stop lying. I'm going to be honest about it and move on. Wouldn't that be helpful? And then the news media wouldn't ask him about it if he would acknowledge it.
I'd like him to move on. I would like him to stop talking about it, but it is his opinion. So you have to attach that caveat, lie all the time. It just keeps it going. So It's his opinion, and
right.
he has a right to have it.
All right, just yesterday, a 9-member jury found Donald Trump liable for sexual abuse. And he's continuing to mock Jean Carroll, this woman who was sexually abused, according to this jury. He also says that that was rigged. You know, this not only is a jury of his peers, he's a New Yorker. He may live in Mar-a-Lago right now, that mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, but he was born and raised in Queens, New York, wanted to make it big with his father in Manhattan, did. He's a New Yorker. This was truly a jury of his peers. How does it make you feel that he's still making fun of this woman? I'm going to ask the women that question.
It's uncomfortable. It's definitely uncomfortable, and I just don't know what to think anymore.
How do you feel about that?
It makes me uncomfortable. I haven't followed it too closely, so I
Agreed.
I don't feel like I have a strong opinion.
And how do you feel? I mean, this was a jury. These jurors weren't told, you have to say this. This is our system in the United States of America. This is an amazing system. It's not a perfect system, but it is an amazing system, particularly compared to lots of other countries. They agreed on this. And here he is at this town hall today. I've never met her before, and just making fun of her. How did that make you feel as a woman?
I didn't really care.
Why didn't you care?
I don't know enough about the case. Women can be victims of abuse. Women can also make up stories. I mean, we see it all the time. So I don't know. All of these situations where people are coming out 20, 30 years later, I don't listen to it.
Well, one more question for you, Mike Pence. He said regarding January 6th that he doesn't think Pence was in danger. He doesn't feel the need to apologize to him. Does that offend any of you? That he's not willing to tell Mike Pence, I'm sorry, you could have been hanged. Anyone offended by that?
Sure.
Oh, you are. And the final question, any of you ready to say you're ready to vote for Donald Trump in 2024?
I am.
You are?
Sure.
One person. The rest of you not ready to say that yet. Thank you all for joining us. We very much appreciate your time in this very important political state of New Hampshire.